Okay, recording this video Saturday, 3rd of November 2012. Hope you had a good week's trading. Reason for a video this weekend is Friday's activity was really important, and I need to do an update on a whole bunch of the weekly charts on the risk-on, risk-off markets and show you what is going on. Friday's activity here, I recorded the video that I put out on Friday just after midday, and we were only down about 10 points or so from the highs when I was putting out that video. By the end of the day, we'd closed down almost 25 points, and so here's Friday's activity. Big sell-off day, 1.7 million contracts traded. It's a reversal day where we kind of opened up on the employment numbers up at 14:30 and then just sold off the entire day, and it really accelerated after midday, and we kind of closed down at 14:05. Perilously close to this incredibly important level at 1400. So if you remember, we had these two kind of moves up. This is the Draghi ECB announcement. Then we had Ben Bernanke QE3. Top ticking the market was Apple iPhone 5 right up here, up at the 1460s kind of level. And now we're back down right at the bottom of that channel, and we're about to break into a new downtrend. So let me show you what I'm seeing on a bunch of charts. First of all, on Better X Trend, a few weeks ago we had Better X Trend kind of flip over here with this activity. We had exhaustion buying where we were trailing the stop up, and then we had this break day, important breakdown day, and we're now in a downtrend on Better X Trend. We've come back up under the lip here, I call this, and we're turning around and kind of heading back down towards those lows. In terms of the trend line, we can see we've had two trend line breaks. The first one was here. We came back up, kissed that little rising trend line right up there, kissed it, turned away, turned back down, formed another rising trend line here. These things kind of fan out as we kind of continue on down. We broke down into another downtrend here, and then with Friday's activity we come back up to that trend line, kind of kiss it and turn away, bang, and we're heading down. Now, I'm not sure I'd call this a fly in the ointment, but just worth pointing out, I mean, it was an extremely bearish day on Friday, big volume, big selling down, but the adjusted trend value for the day was negative 31. Now, what I do here, this is the adjusted trend values, so I kind of take the trend values, adjust them for their kind of logarithmic exponential kind of component to them, and then I flip them upside down, so you get some kind of a reading between negative 100, positive 100, big kind of up days and down days kind of go past these values. Now, negative 31 is not a particularly big value in terms of selling down, so there was a good deal of maybe some buying going on during Friday's activity. You can see big selling days like this one down here. We had negative 100 type readings, and the market kind of keeps on going. So 1400 level is absolutely key. The market, is it going to hold here, or is it going to continue through? I'm looking at some of my trend charts on the higher time frame tip bar charts, and we're in downtrends, and it doesn't look like they're going to stop until we breach that 1400. And if we go through there, once we go through there, this is going to accelerate on the downside. So things are getting important now. To put this in kind of context, I'm going to reference back in the notes to this video some important dates, and they kind of go back over the last several months, and it just shows the importance of how slowly kind of markets top out and turn and trend down. So this is the weekly chart of the E-mini here, and we've broken into this uptrend. We came back, rested at this resistance level, so we broke out into an uptrend, we come back, resistance becomes support. At this point we bounce off here, blue professional bars coming into the lows here, and then we set off into another uptrend. Now, on the 29th of July I put up a weekly video saying that I needed to kind of get ready for a continuation of the rally, because we had weekly support levels that were in not only on the E-mini but all the risk-on charts, and that was at this date, and you can see that was a pullback support level on the weekly chart, and we continued into this rally. Then 29th of September put out another video where we had weekly cyclical resistance levels were coming in on all of the risk-on charts. The E-mini printed a little bit earlier on that, but that was that 29th September date. So we'd made this support to resistance, happened to be pullback to end of trend on the weekly chart over here of the E-mini. And then when we go down to the daily chart, we had that topping out activity, exhaustion buying. There's all that exhaustion, blue professional bars at the highs, exhaustion buying. We test with bearish divergence, kind of comes in here, kind of a double top, then we make almost like a triple top up here, and at this date we closed back down on the support, this breakout level, breaking down below this support pullback in an uptrend level. And on that date, that was the 19th of October, I was saying we're now dropping through support, and that's a game changer at that point. And now what we've done over the last day or two, we've come back up to test that support level, and we kissed and turned away. So support becomes resistance, we touch this line and we move back down. So all of a sudden that's kind of confirming that we're now in this downtrend. So on the weekly chart, we've now made our kind of pullback to end of trend. We've got this kind of less and less buying going on at these highs. We've got exhaustion buying, bearish divergence. We drop through a support level on the daily chart into a downtrend. We've now kissed off that support level and we're about to break through 1400. Now if we do that, that means we're kind of accelerating on the downside, and now all of a sudden things get a lot faster, the moves get a lot quicker, the ranges get bigger and so on as we move into a downtrend that won't finish on the daily chart until we get pullback to end of trend. So that's why all these dates are kind of important. They've just taken a long time to gradually kind of top out in this market, roll over, and now we've had the first sign of weakness was when we broke through that pullback level. We continued, kept on going through there. We bounced off this little Rambo pattern. This is the Monday, Tuesday's activity because the markets were shut in New York. We bounced off those little Rambo patterns there. Exhaustion buying, just showing the severity of the selling at this point, getting this move going. We've now come back up and we're coming back down to come through these lows, and will accelerate on the downside. And then to end the move, it'll be pullback to end of trend on the daily chart with another kind of exhaustion selling on something like a left shoulder. So that's what I'm kind of anticipating over the next few days. Now in terms of the timing of this, I mean, we've got the election on Tuesday. I'm just surprised that there was so much conviction in Friday's activity that was just kind of selling down. Now you go with the charts, who knows what's kind of going on? Are people just very uncertain about the future, and so they're taking the money off the table, kind of getting out the market and so on? So just I'm surprised at the timing of this without kind of more information in terms of who's going to win the election on during the beginning of this week in terms of making decisions and so on. But maybe it's just people withdrawing from the current uptrend and just taking profits and just seeing what happens next. But this is a bearish sign, and looks like we're going to kind of head through 1400. So let's look at all the risk on and risk off charts on these weekly charts and just put this in context. So this is this turning point where we had cyclical support to resistance kind of going off. So end of July for the support level kind of coming in, and the resistance level kind of coming in September and kind of turning over. So this is crude on the weekly chart. So we put in the support to resistance here. Crude's been one of the weakest markets, turned at 100, and we're back down, and we're in this resistance to support kind of swing on the weekly charts on the way down. This is Swiss franc, same thing. We had this extreme exhaustion move in the Swiss franc, and then the Swiss central bank intervened, drove down their currency. But there we go. There's cyclical resistance come in on the weekly chart on Swiss franc. We've got a British pound, weekly resistance kind of come in here. We're trending down, resistance to support on this time frame. Gold, huge activity on Friday on gold and silver, but we got on the weekly chart at 1800. There's the cyclical resistance come in. We've been trending down on that, and silver, same thing at $35. All those blue professional bars kind of coming in the last time we kind of tested up here. Cyclical resistance is in, and now we're kind of moving on the way down. Aussie dollar's been one of the strongest of the currencies, and so we've been making a little bit of a triple top kind of hit here, a little bit of a head and shoulders type move at 105s, and then we're underneath this resistance level, kind of amateur up bar there. So we're kind of got that resistance to support to play out on the Aussie dollar. Euro, and then euro is again on Friday's activity on the euro. We broke through support on the daily chart, and we got the weekly resistances in here. So we got this kind of trending down. And crude, same thing, weekly resistance in, and back to, I beg your pardon, that was copper on this last chart. I'll just roll through that quickly. Copper here, weekly resistance is in, kind of trending down, and back to crude here. So you can see on every single one of those weekly charts, we've got cyclical resistance is in, and we've been in that for several weeks, and now what we're going to do is we're breaking through on the daily charts into trend moves on the daily charts, and that's when things will start to accelerate on the downside. The ranges, the moves, the volumes and so on will get quicker, larger and so on. So crude, I mean, we had pullback to end of trend on the daily chart, marked that $100 top here. We didn't have a classic kind of break into a downtrend on the support level here on the daily chart, but we're coming up to it now. So daily chart, we've got a support level that printed with a Roundup pattern, and then Friday's activity, you can see, bang, we're coming right through that support level here, breaking into a downtrend on the daily chart on crude. British pound, there's the pullback level on the daily chart, not unlike the E-mini kind of chart here, and we're having that push back to that support level. As soon as we break through there, bang, bombs away, we're into a downtrend on the pound. Swiss franc, that was the activity on Friday. We had quite a lot of buying. Professional bar, that's kind of a falling through the ice type bar, blue professional bar going through support, but they kind of caught it quite a lot. It's like quite a lot of buying there on the Swiss franc, but still that's going through a support level on the way down. Silver, so silver, we just sliced through the support level here. We've come back up and we basically bounced off that, so support becomes resistance, bang, big blue professional down bar kind of as that move accelerates on the way down. And gold is the same pattern, come up to the support level, support becomes resistance, bang, blue professional bar kind of selling that down, getting out of this thing. And this isn't over until we see pullback to end of trend on these daily charts, on these trend moves where they kind of finish. Aussie dollar's been the strongest. We don't have a support level yet printed on Aussie dollar. That'll probably come in around the 101 type level. That's kind of typically a support area for the Aussie dollar, and once it kind of forms that support, then we'd be looking for a break of that. But we've got a cyclical resistance on the daily chart on Aussie. And here's euro. So euro, exhaustion buying, blue professional bars up at 32, bang. We had pullback to end of trend. We just kind of overshoot a little bit. Then we get a little bit of uncertainty at the beginning of this week with Sandy and New York being closed and so on. And then Friday's activity, bang. We've broken through a support level into a downtrend on the euro chart. And then copper's been in a downtrend for a while. This kind of moved pretty quickly. It's like copper and crude were moving early on in terms of making those highs. It's been in a downtrend. That's a typical kind of falling through the ice bar, blue professional bar, through a support level, kind of selling this move down, continues through the lows of that, doesn't come up to the highs anywhere close, and we just keep on selling down. And so we're in a downtrend on the copper chart here, and then back to crude for this daily chart. So there we go. So all of those risk on markets, we've got weekly resistance is in on the weekly charts, and we got to play out on the weekly charts on the way down, and then we've broken into downtrends on the daily charts, and those will continue until we get pulled back to end of trend. And again, the consistency in terms of the signals, all of these things are kind of lining up together now. It's like a unified picture, if you like. And then the flip side's happening in terms of the risk off charts. So if you look at dollar index, we've got dollar index weekly supports come in. We've been building a base on the weekly chart for a few weeks here at 80, and we kind of got that support in the background kind of taking us forward. On the rates, rates will be the inverse. So we got weekly resistance come in on the rates. So the interest rates, as they move down, that means bonds move up. So the rates are coming down, and this is 30-year Treasury yields. And then support on the bonds themselves. So this is 30-year bonds. The support level this week has kind of come in, and we should have that kind of weekly support supporting a continuation of that uptrend. All the bonds look the same, the 10-year, the 5-year, and the 30-year kind of look the same with this kind of support in. So we've got on the flip side, on the risk off charts, we've got support, trends moving up as money moves into safe havens, moving into the US dollar, moving into US Treasury bonds. I must admit the trend, the strength of the uptrend in bonds is a little bit weaker, but that's, I think, kind of people thinking about fiscal cliff and worrying about kind of the strength of the bond market kind of looking forward. But if we get a continuation, the acceleration of the sell-off in equities markets, for sure they're going to be kind of flowing into bonds just to kind of get their money out of those risk on assets. And then if you go to the daily charts of exactly the same kind of risk-off assets, you can see them breaking into uptrends. So this is dollar index on the daily chart here. We put in our pullback to dirty end of trend here, exhaustion selling, bullish divergence, flush pattern, bang, and now we came up, we formed over the last week our resistance level, and we've come through there. So this is jumping the creek, blue professional bar, up through that resistance into an uptrend on the daily chart. So the daily chart, we've got a risk on. In terms of the rates we've still got on the daily chart, we've got the rates kind of moving down. Friday's activity, we kind of kissed off that resistance level on the daily chart and kind of moving down in terms of rates. So on the daily chart, so the bonds, because the rates are going down, the bonds are going up, and here's the 30-year bonds. So it was fairly weak. We got the resistance level there. What we need is to shoot through that and kind of confirm an uptrend on the bonds. So that's where I was saying the bonds a little less kind of conviction in terms of bonds, but blue professional bars at exhaustion, at support, buying those lows. The next time we come in, a little bit of a double bottom here, the professionals buying down here, buying down here. We've kind of accelerated here. These two little amateur bars beginning of the week, this is Sandy. So although the equities market in New York was shut, the bonds continue to trade. They were very light kind of trading going on Monday and Tuesday there, so that's why the little amateur bars there. And then we got that resistance in there, and then we need to poke through that to get a confirmation that we're in an uptrend on the bonds on the daily chart. So there we go, ripping through those charts in terms of weekly and daily signals. We're breaking into trends, downtrends on the risk-on markets, uptrends in the risk-off markets on the daily charts, and they're supported by resistance and support levels on the weekly charts there. So I hope that's kind of painted a consistent picture of what's going on. And then just lastly, just looking at the highest time frame tip bar charts to kind of see what's going on. So yeah, we did have this sell-off and we had this bounce. We had some fairly good news over the last couple of days that kind of caused this bounce on the 40,500 tip bar chart. We'd tried to find that bottom at 1400 here. We had pullback to end of trend, flush patterns coming in here at these lows, these kind of cyclical activity. We try to break into an uptrend, and no, 1430, bang, we got turned away, and we're all the way back down here. Now we've got a cyclical support kind of due. You can see better sine waves starting to cross over here, so we've got something due in terms of 40,500 tip bar chart potentially kind of coming in. But if you go down a time frame onto the 13,500, we're broken into a downtrend. This was the kind of consolidation that we had at lunchtime on Friday here. This is the beginning of trading day on Friday. We kind of consolidated here for a while, and then we just let loose. We kind of broke at lunchtime into this downtrend. We're on a downtrend on 13,500. So this has got to make pullback to end of trend on this lower time frame, 13,500. And it looks like we're so close to that 1400 level. We could just slice through there, kind of keep on going before we make kind of pullback to end of trend on the 13,500 tip bar chart. Now, again, just looking at Monday, Tuesday, surely with the elections kind of coming up. That's got to play into how this is going to turn out. It could be we settle, for a couple of days until the news is in and we know what's kind of going on. There's a little bit more certainty, and then we get a potential continuation of the downtrend. But this 1400 level is absolutely key. And when I look at all of the other charts, that have broken into these trends on the daily chart, and we're in a downtrend on the daily E-mini chart. Just going back to this one, we've broken through support, we kind of tested and so on, and we're kind of heading on the way down. So just from everything I can see, this 1400 level is absolutely key. If we start slicing through there, things are really going to accelerate on the downside. So I'm going to reference back those important kind of weekly videos. 29th of July, where we had the support level kind of coming in on all the weekly charts on the risk-on markets and equities, and we had this move, pullback to end of trend. Then the 29th of September, when we had the weekly charts all come in at resistance, just like the E-mini here, all the risk-on markets had resistance kind of coming up here. And then we dropped through support on that daily chart on the 19th of October, and that was kind of the key, that this thing had just given up the ghost. We weren't going to make pullback to end of trend. It just, at that point, Ben Bernanke and Apple had top-ticked the market up here. Bang, we're into a downtrend. We've now got this kiss off that support becomes resistance kind of line, and 1400 is kind of the next level that we're going to test, potentially slice through into a strong downtrend. Anyway, so quite a bit of information there, a bunch of charts, but for me at least, as soon as I ripped through my charts on close on Friday, all of a sudden we had a bit of a consistent picture. So needed to do an update on Friday's video, because the Friday's activity was pretty telling in my view. So hope you have a good weekend and get ready for an interesting week.